Hello everyone, this is our final presentation for CECS 445. Our project consisted of the development of our app with messaging. And this is a rundown of what we'll be discussing during the development of the app throughout the semester. WOP messaging is a messaging web application that was built in React. It uses Redux to handle state management, and data such as messages and user data is stored on the cloud. Firebase is our primary source to store our data. WOP messaging is addressed towards clients who want an easy and reliable message application with a straightforward communication. Other messaging apps use unnecessary features that might confuse a user, but our is straightforward. In the end, it's easy for friends to get in touch with a simple click. Why is this app needed? WOP messaging can help friends keep in touch. We need this app because it provides a sleek way of sending messages without unnecessary features, which is a plus because it means anyone of any age can use it. And lastly, it provides a UI that is easy to look at, as opposed to other messaging apps.
Potential users. There are a lot of potential users since the barrier of entry to use our app is really low. The only thing that a user would need is a desktop, laptop in order to run our app. Since our application is designed to be as lightweight as possible, you don't need a strong computer to run it. And they would need to have a general knowledge of how messaging apps works and what functions are in messaging apps. So the characteristics of our users. We expect most of users to be would be adults, users to be social and outgoing, users to have lots of friends to talk to. This is a messaging app. We need them to have friends to be able to talk to someone. And users to live a fast lifestyle that would require them to take advantage of a fast application. Users need to have a busy lifestyle where they would need to multitask that would allow them to take advantage of a lightweight application. That's how we designed it. If people want to multitask, it'll be really easy since our application is really lightweight. So let's talk about our two major features. So the first feature we're going to talk about is messaging it. This is a messaging app, so this has to be one of our biggest features. So this feature allows registered users to send a message. Users can receive a message and reply to them quickly. Messaging is designed to be fast and as lightweight as possible, so users can get messages as quickly as possible and respond to them as quickly as possible. Our second feature are friends. So users are able to search for friends, they can add friends, users can delete friends, users can also decline friend requests. And it was really important for us to have a robust friend feature to make sure people can message who they want and not have to worry about the people they don't want messaging them, message them.
Here are the three core libraries that we implemented into our application. We use React, Material UI, and Google Firebase. We use React to build the user interfaces, and Material UI is another library that has a bunch of components that we could use, and we integrated it with the React library, and we use Google Firebase for the backend development. We specifically use three of their development tools, which was Firestore, which we use to store our data. We use Google Authentication for authenticating our users, and we use Google Analytics to see the usage across the site. So here are three other libraries that we implemented into our application. The first one being React Redux. We implemented this library to manage the data components. So this one was useful for managing states that were deeply nested, or if we wanted to access other states that were part of another container or branch. The other library that we used was Redux Persist. So we use this one to save the state after we would refresh a page or close a browser. So it basically just stores a cookie inside the local storage. The other library that we used was Redux Stunk Middleware. We use this one to update the state automatically after making asynchronous calls. So when we would make a call to Firebase, the state would get updated, and what Redux Stunk would do would update the state after that asynchronous call was finished. Here's the architecture that we use for our application. We use implicit invocation. It's primarily used for event-based apps, and because it allows high cohesion and loose coupling styles. And since our application is messaging, and very event based, we figured it's the best architecture to implement. And the design pattern that we're using is a Redux design pattern since we are using those libraries. It's basically a bunch of libraries combined into one architecture, and it allows heavy separation of concerns. So it's very similar to the model view controller, except the only difference is that model view controller is bidirectional, whereas this Redux architecture all flows in one single path. It's circular. So for software development, we focus on the front end and back end development about the same. We did get more of the back end completed. We just haven't implemented into the UI yet. But our primary focus was on the functionality and reliability of the software. So we didn't want the software to be buggy or to crash or be unreliable in certain ways. And then also we just wanted to make this application simple to use and not overwhelming. So here are some future enhancements that we would like to implement in the future. So basically, these are just features that we have. So some of them being emoji box or sending attachments or having a PDF reader or group messaging and adding a mobile application. So here's our application. I have two windows open. One of them's a regular window and the other one's a private window. So we have two of them open in order to demonstrate the messaging feature. This is our homepage. We have our logo, we have some text, we have a login, we have a register. And for this demo, I'm gonna go ahead and make a brand new account. We have some front end validations. And when you go ahead and register with an account, you could go ahead and you're greeted with a couple messages. If you don't have any conversations, it'll display this message. If you do have some conversations, you click a message or do whatever. On the side right here on the bottom, we have options where you get an account, add friends, search friends, or create interactions. So on this side in the private window, I'm just going to log into an account that I already have. So right here is where you would have your messages stored, and it's the same thing for everything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this user that I just signed into as a friend. So if you just type in whatever, it will just search in the database, and if it can't find it, then it will display that message. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this user. That's the other one. And one thing that we don't have right now is implemented in the user interface is that when you go ahead and add a user, it automatically accepts them as a friend. It doesn't send a friend request. We don't have notifications implemented yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this user. So when I go ahead and check the friends where I could create an interaction, I'll just be able to just do it right here. So when I create this interaction with blah, my name pops up right here. So if I go ahead and greet this one, I'm gonna go ahead and go right here too. I could go ahead and send Omar an message. So I'm gonna just say whatever, and he'll get in. He'll say hey, and that's pretty much how this application works. And then you could go home from here. You could go back to the dashboard. You could sign out. Same thing goes here.
So we had 10 users test our app, and after they tested it, we asked them to fill out a survey. We also asked them what feature they liked the most, and most of them said they like the simplicity and user interface. From the survey results, we asked them how they would rate our UI, and 6 people gave it a 4 star, and 2 people gave it a 5 star. That's a pretty good rating. We also asked them how easy they thought our app was to use, and 1 being the easiest and 5 being the hardest. 3 people rated it 1, and 4 people rated it 2, and none of them rated it 5. So our app is pretty easy to use. After that, we asked the users if they thought they could recover from a mistake easily, and 90% of them said yes, and only 10% said no. And we also asked our users if they felt like our app was intuitive, and 90% of them said yes.
Workload distribution. So the work was equally divided amongst every group member, and it was assigned based on the priority of the user story. And fortunately, we were able to complete all the user stories prioritized as high as well as medium, but we were unable to complete the user stories that were prioritized as low. We had the backend set up completely, it's just we were unable to complete the user interface for them. Now let's go over our Scrum process journey. So throughout each sprint, we learned something new, and I will go over that in the later slides. And each sprint, we identified something new. It could be in addition to the application, it could be a bug, and it kept things interesting and fun. Every group member helped and assisted each other anytime a problem was found, and although the team had disagreements initially, as we were all confused on which project to work on, we had multiple ideas. We all came together and worked fantastically. So let's go over each sprint. So sprint 1 and sprint 1 through sprint 4 basically. So some of the goods in sprint 1 was that we communicated well, we had great documentation, and we were doing amazing with our research. But we struggled with time management, and I mentioned this last slide. One of the things that we had going wrong for us was that we were unable to decide what project to do. We had in total 3 project ideas. The first one was a video game created on Unreal Engine. The second one was a chatbot that would utilize artificial intelligence, and then the third one that we eventually did do was Whoop messaging. Moving on to sprint 2, we honestly had no cons. We did not struggle during sprint 2. We completed all the tasks that were assigned to us. We managed our time. We created our backend. We completed our documentation. And towards the end of the sprint, we had a working demo. Sprint 3. This was the worst sprint out of all sprints, since this is the time when the COVID-19 broke out. So time management was definitely a bad thing, not just for us, but I would assume for every group. And working remotely was new to all of us, and we struggled with that. But we were able to complete certain tasks. We readjusted our planning, we readjusted all of the tasks and the assigned work, and we adapted to the situation. And we completed backend functionalities for all of the high priority user stories. And then moving on to sprint 4. So I mentioned this in a couple of slides before, that the low priority user stories were not fully completed because we ran out of time, basically. Also, they were considered low priority, so we've wanted to focus on the high priority and the medium priority. So that's what we struggled with, to complete the low priority user stories, but we did complete all of the high prioritized user stories as well as the medium prioritized user stories. We completed the backend setup for every user story, be it from high to low. It's just the user interface was not completed for the low prioritized user stories. We were great with the time management, considering the little amount of time we had, and we were able to meet all of our adjusted deadlines and requirements and have a fully functioning application. So what we learned, we learned a lot about time management, especially in regards to Scrum meetings. We, towards the end of the semester, learned how to work remotely as a team, and we learned more about Scrum framework. Which is, again, a great agile process to follow for applications that will be continuously updated. And that is all. Thank you so much.